This is something we should have been taught about probably when we were younger. Today we're going to talk about the female cycle and how to incorporate your fasting routine into our menstrual cycle. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Daniella Joy, and I made this transformation on my overall weight loss journey. My weight loss journey has been challenging. It's still challenging to this day. And I started my weight loss journey off at 282 pounds after dealing with chronic pain for years. I gave birth to my son. No one knew what happens. I was just in debilitating pain. And I had a breaking point, got some help, and I was able to get down to 220 pounds. And then cue in me getting into a car accident 2 years ago where it aggravated the chronic pain I originally had and introduced some new pain. And through that storm, I found my power with one meal a day. At the time, I was in a horrible situation and I tried to fast but couldn't because I had tons of injuries related to my neck, concussion, whole lot. The concussion is what made it hard to do prolonged fasts, so I decided to jump into omad, and omad literally helped transform my confidence with weight loss and losing weight overall. So now we're going to talk about how to incorporate fasting, omad, into the female cycle. So day 1 of your cycle starts at bleed. And from day 1 to day 10 of your cycle, that is called the power phase 1. This is all coming from Dr. Mindy Pelz's Eat Like a Girl and Fast Like a Girl. From day 1 to 10, your hormones are at its lowest, especially at the beginning. The starting of your period, your hormones are the lowest. The hormones that we're talking about, the 3 main ones that we're going to discuss, are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Estrogen is beginning to build itself in the first power phase. And usually when we have our period, we feel like a sense of relief. Anyone who struggles with PMDD or PMS symptoms, they know this. So the beginning of your period, you kind of feel like a relief. And the reason why is that your hormones are at its lowest. Now, during this phase, estrogen's being built. And not only that, we get a nice boost of oxytocin. Oxytocin is that feel-good hormone. It's the hormone you get when you hug somebody, or, it's just the hormone that that make us womanly, or feminine, in that it makes us loving and nurturing and caring. So during this time, we're dealing with estrogen in the form of estradiol. And when estradiol is rising up, it also activates neurotransmitters in our brain. These neurotransmitters are as follows. I'm going to read it from the book. They are estradiol. Well, estradiol stimulates dopamine, serotonin, glutamate, acetylcholine, and brain-derived neurotrophic factor, also known as a BDNF. So when it stimulates these things, it gives us good mood, it boosts our energy, and this is probably one of the most effective points women are in their cycle. We are able to focus, we're getting that oxytocin kick. And during this phase of their cycle, in relation to dieting, this is the part of the cycle where you want to push it hard. That's why it's good to start fasting on day 1 of your cycle. Estrogen can handle a little bit of hormetic stress. It can handle things as we're building it. Not only that, estrogen loves to be in a glucose-sensitive environment, meaning that it does not want glucose present. So if you are going to fast, do it now. Loves low blood sugar. Go into fasting, do a keto diet. This is when you can really push it with your diet without having any biological consequences as a female. The next phase in our cycle is from day 10 to 16. This is our ovulation window. Dr. Mindy Pelz calls it the manifestation phase. This is the part of our cycle where we begin to see the rise of testosterone. Testosterone starts to peak, oxytocin starts to peak, and estrogen starts to get to its highest point. This is a part of the cycle where we want to take advantage of building muscle, because this is where we have testosterone present in our cycle. So you want to focus on eating foods that are high in protein. You want to focus on eating some of nature's healthy carbs. You want to focus on metabolizing your hormones. Why? Because our hormones are at the highest during this phase. So you want to focus on the gut microbiome more than anything. The gut microbiome helps us metabolize our hormones. Now you have to remember, when our hormones do not get metabolized correctly or completely, they get stored in our fat. And that fat is always belly fat. It's always belly fat, right? It's the belly that we are all trying to bring down. So during this phase, you want to be eating bitter greens, foods that are going to cure or help the gut microbiome. You want to be eating fiber-rich foods. You want to be eating high protein. In terms of fasting during this phase, I would say you can continue fasting in this phase. I believe Dr. Mindy Pelz says not really. She puts fasting in the 2 power phases. Power phase 1 from day 1 to 10, and then power phase 2 from day about, I believe it's day 15 to 20. Those are the times where you want to push the fast. But I had no problem pushing my OMAD fast during this period. Where the problem lied on my OMAD journey was always the week before the period. And I'm going to talk about a little hack that can help you deal with that. So that is a point in their cycle that you want to really push it hard in the gym because you're going to have all the energy, get those PRs during that manifestation phase from day 10 to 15. After day 10 to 15, you ovulate, then the hormones start to go down, and that is when progesterone starts to increase. So during the second power phase, all the hormones are low. You're entering another low hormone phase in your cycle. This is another part of your cycle where you really, really, really want to take advantage of weight loss. You want to take advantage of going into deeper fast, 36-hour fast, maybe a 72-hour fast to help cure resistance weight loss. It's during a 4-day window period. And this cycle, part of your cycle, starts based on you ovulating. Every woman ovulates at a different time every month. We may not ovulate at the same time every month, but we might have an idea when we track. But this begins right after that egg is released. Then the hormones go down. So this is a part of the cycle you want to really take advantage of those things. And come to think of it, overall, I'm just thinking about all of this. And that's why women struggle during certain parts of their cycle. And this is the part of our cycle I'm really going to talk about is the nurture phase from day 20 to bleed. This is where women really struggle because it's that week before your period. The dominant hormone is progesterone. Progesterone does not like stress. So during this week, you may want to slow things down. This is where you want to have some baths, nurture yourself. And you don't want to be starting a new workout program a week before your period because you will feel it when you start to have your period, when you start menses. I made this mistake before, and I would like to fast right before my period in the past, and I thought it would make my period more difficult. So during this phase, if you are struggling with losing weight or you're struggling with cravings, you're going to have a lot of cravings during this phase. Take a break. Just go into a maintenance. If you're going to do OMAD, for anyone who's been doing keto OMAD for the 3 weeks prior up to, I noticed when I threw in 1 or 2 days where I would have carbs with my OMAD meal, when I was doing keto OMAD, that nurture phase wasn't so hard. Now, Dr. Mindy Pelz recommends that you do not fast during this phase at all. I don't agree with that based on my experience. However, I do agree in being able to switch things up and not putting up too much of a hermetic stress. But the science says you should not be pushing yourself too hard because your body's preparing for our cycle, and that takes a lot out of us. That's why the PMS symptoms happen. So during that week, have yourself some dark chocolate. Make sure you're having nurturing carbs. And another thing, progesterone does not want you in a state of low blood sugar. It needs carbs. So if you are struggling on your keto OMAD journey, this is the week to throw in a normal OMAD. Or perhaps do an 18-hour fast instead of doing the intense 22-hour fasts. It's important to know when to push it with your cycle and when not to. So let's recap. Day 1 to day 10, power phase 1. That's when you want to push it with your cycle. That is a low point of hormones in your cycle. Everything's low during that thing, and they start to rise up. From day 10 to day 15, that is when you want to push it with the protein. That's when you don't want to be doing traditional keto, meaning having moderate protein. Maybe perhaps do a higher protein diet and push it hard at the gym. Take advantage of that testosterone. Following that is the second power phase after the manifestation phase. And that is when you really want to go after resistant weight loss. Push, do a long fast during this phase. And that is right after ovulation from day 15 to day 19. It's like a 4-day window period. And after that is the progesterone period or the nurturing phase. That's when you really want to be cognizant of really pushing it hard at the gym. You don't want to be doing that. If you're dieting really hard, give yourself a couple of maintenance weeks, days. Give yourself perhaps a break from fasting. Don't fast longer than 15 hours. Kind of tone things down, because when progesterone's high, and then we have our cortisol levels high, because progesterone cannot handle high cortisol levels. When that happens, it can put us in a situation where our period's late or delayed. And that has happened to me several times where I've had high stress moments before my period. My period would just disappear. It's happened this year quite a bit. So that's the whole recap. Beginning of your cycle, estrogen can handle stress. That's when we are the most productive, where we can be the most productive in accordance to our female cycle. That's when we can handle stresses. That's when we can push the fast and all of that. So we need to be cognizant of where we are in our cycle. I tell my clients this, I always ask them where they are in their cycle, because I don't want to be pushing anyone with fasting or pushing anyone with training if they're during that phase in their cycle. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far into the video, just drop in the word power phase. And I'm sending you guys mad love. Take care. Bye.